Wednesday. They have been busy up in the Dallas and Fort Worth area. The College Football Playoff Committee has met. Bill Hancock has just emerged from the meetings today. We'll have some of the quotes. Nicole Arbach, who we had on the show last week, with her Twitter timeline with new information. Nothing, of course, decided today, but some information from what was said from Bill Hancock. Meanwhile, that all of the commissioners were in attendance. In fact, I saw where Nicole mentioned that George Kliavkoff of the Big 12, or Pac-12, was there walking this morning alongside Mountain West Commissioner Gloria Navarez. And then also, Jim Phillips is the only commissioner not in attendance. He will be connecting virtually. Everyone else is in person up in Dallas and Fort Worth, and wonder if that's because he's got a lot of business on his hand. Other than that, when it comes to what the ACC might do.
Yeah, that's going to be annoying for Jim Phillips, though, to be the only one that's on Zoom or Teams or whatever they're using when everybody else is sitting in the room. It's got to be awkward.
It had to be on his calendar, so there, either he's not feeling well or he's trying to negotiate even more so getting the ACC wherever he wants it to be.
Yeah, I don't know, guys. I mean, I think he's been pretty busy here lately. That's been kind of the focus of the entire week in so many ways, even though the games are what's about to matter way more than whatever's going on in the ACC for most everybody out there. But, yeah, I mean, between a supposed vote that they were going to have a night ago that was canceled because of a campus shooting and a hurricane, I don't exactly blame him for not being at the playoff meetings if he can just connect virtually. So, I'm sure there's an eyebrow raised over that, like, oh, what's this? Why him of all people? But, I mean, there's a couple of simple reasons, and who knows, what else we're not privy to that, allowed him to be able to be somebody that's not there in person. But regardless, not much to report out of there other than just the fact that the word I saw was cordial. I did see a good joke from, I think it was the Reddit college football page that, a lot of times is very heavy on the satire and sarcasm and all that, and mentioned that they had passed like a 15-team playoff with 7 automatic bids for the SEC and 7 automatic bids for the Big Ten, and, then everybody else can play for the wild card. And it's like, well, is that really all that far off in about 5 years? Who knows? But no, not. I mean, for right now, I know that's just, playing with everybody's, fears of what that's going to look like eventually. But, yeah, nothing major to report out of that. And I wouldn't have expected them to just all come together today and in a few hours hash out these complex issues and all these personal issues, because these are very personal issues. Every commissioner is fighting for itself in his conference or her conference. And clearly there's a lot of conferences that are kind of teetering right now when it comes to how, much they'll have, to play for and to rely on when it comes to bids and whatnot. So this is a important, beginning to what's going to be a very interesting conversation when it comes to what that new playoff looks like.
All right, so here is, I don't know how much of this that, Garrett, you can put together, but you got a few of them?
I have 3 of them. I have everything she has.
Here's the first one. Bill Hancock, the executive director.
I'm just going to say the biggest thing is realignment kind of needs to settle down for them to be able to figure out some of this part, too. That's the other thing.
No, that's true. It could affect how many tokens you get.
Is the Pac-12 a part of this? Is it existing?
Well, okay. Here's Executive Director Bill Hancock said they were productive and cordial. That is a rinse and repeat. Hancock says the group made a lot of progress on operational pieces of the 12-team college football playoff. Good note, the college football playoff will provide a stipend for student-athletes' families to travel to all the rounds, and those are things that they have to tidy up. Hancock on the impact of the conference realignment on the playoff format, which Craig just brought up. We're going to have to wait until the dust settles before making any decisions about how it might affect the college football playoff, which is obviously the possibility of the ACC, expansion, and or what happens with perhaps the Mountain West or American.
For example, Jim Phillips is not at these meetings connecting virtually. Who is at these meetings? George Kliavkoff's at these meetings. So, there are uncertainties surrounding, him and others. And so, I think that only makes sense that there's probably some other things that they need to figure out as well along the way that will, aid in what ultimately they decide to settle on. And I got it slightly wrong on the Reddit. The 7 auto bids for the Big Ten, the 7 auto bids for the SEC, and then I think they went with the highest-ranked conference champion outside the P2 will get that 15th spot to be able to get in there.
Hancock said that Kliavkoff was there, as always, and then he even noted that the Pac-12 is a member of the group through June 30th of 2024 at the very least. It would be premature to play musical chairs until you know how many chairs you have. And then finally said there was not enough major in-depth conversation about 5 plus 7. That's 5 conference champions plus 7 at-large versus the 6 and 6. But did come up with, but it did come up. Also discussed revenue distribution for 2024 and 2025, but no final decisions made to change.
Again, that depends on 5 plus 7 or 6 plus 6. So those two things are the biggest things they have to figure out, but they can't decide what those are, because then if they stay at 6 plus 6, then they're essentially saying like, hey, we've accepted you guys as near equals.
Yeah.
And that would be a major shift off of, forever. So that would be a change. And then that means the revenue distribution, because when it comes to especially the group of 5, they are still going to, as much as this is a great opportunity to get, they're going to get as much of the, you guys are lucky to be here as the bigger conferences can throw at them politely.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd be totally fine with either one of those, although I think at this point, yeah, you do kind of look over at whatever that 6th conference you're referring to is, and if that's the Pac-12, then there are, gigantic question marks, 5, but the 6 would be, I mean, what is that? Is that just the highest ranked non-P5?
It would be the 5 Power 5s and the highest ranked group of 5 conference champions.
Right, but I just wonder, like, the Pac-12 would still be included in that instance, and so that would be obviously very eye-raising, and then if not, I guess the 5 would be minus them, but yeah, I mean, that's got to be worked out. They still exist at this point. Yeah. There still is a Pac-12 until there's not, even though it's the Pac-4 at this point, and I know we just referred to Jim Phillips, and I don't know, I haven't been getting knee-deep in all of the ACC realignment. That's why I kind of asked about, some of the just what's kind of the reaction to it. Don't get me wrong, I'm looking at stuff and I'm trying to keep up with it, but I haven't noticed anything substantial today that's really changed all that much of what we've already kind of discussed.
These things never move as fast as I think we would like them to move.
So I think that'll be the case with these playoff talks, even though there's a bit of a timeline in place. But yeah, there's a lot of things to have to work out. I mean, what exists and what doesn't by the time that this thing rolls around. So interesting that, they've got the ball rolling, and we'll see, kind of what dominoes fall here, and they will as well.
An interesting note, if you're a Florida fan,